one amazing series of YA novels, an insatiable thirst to relive the glory that is K.A. Applegate's literary masterpiece. This is Animorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. Animorphs number 13, The Change.
Hello and welcome to the Dork-Bajir Chronicles, a Animorph podcast where we read through the Animorph series one book at a time, then talk about it every week. Today we'll be talking about Animorphs number 13, The Change. My name is Mikael, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Braden, the Kawatnaj.
Today we have a special guest with us, known only mysteriously as Moths.
Yeah, moths, definitely. I'm mostly just hundreds and hundreds of moths in a small box, and I like to do podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hey,
Moths is, well, we kind of found each other on Twitter, hey?
And it was true love ever since.
Yeah, I fell in love with his moth gifts. He fell in love with my terrible
Opinions
Animorphs
about
memes.
the romantic
Terrible.
identities of the Animorphs. That sounds about right.
Exactly, thank you,
Pretty
thank you.
much.
There's such bad opinions. Oh, thank you. I'm so
Whoa.
glad I have, like, a friend now on this podcast.
This
Tell
episode
Mikael.
especially is a hotbed.
Oof. Oofda, doofda.
There's one particular scene from a future book which I had initially identified as belonging in this one. It's actually from the next Tobias book, which
Okay, fair warning.
no spoilers.
Braden has not read any of the books past this point. I totally forgot to ask Moths about how you got into Animorphs.
Scholastic Book Club, and then all my friends, that would be what we would play in, like, during recess, in like 4th grade. So we'd just be like
Hell yeah.
running
Nice.
around like, oh man, the teachers are controllers. Oh man. Bunch of squares. We're the only people who really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Nice.
No one really gets
No one
it.
really gets it. I'm in 4th
I love
grade.
That
That's
dang
so good.
Wachowski
So were you-
Matrix high
You say
biology.
Scholastic Book Club. So you were reading them as
Yeah,
they came out, right?
definitely.
Whoa.
I mean, I think just based on, because what I've read after, what they did initially was one book every 2 months, and then after like the first 6 books came out, then it was one book a month after that. So I probably
Yeah.
came in around like 4 or 5, but so I actually skipped number 2 and didn't get to number 3 until like way later, like book 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I got the first one, and then I went straight to book 4, and then pretty much read all of them except for the Beaver one, which I still haven't read. That's in your future.
It's, I know exactly that book. It's, of the ones to miss, it was probably okay. They had some good parts, but, like, I mean, there's a lot of books towards the end that start getting really good. That's not one of them. I mean, like, if
so
you read the Duck book near the end, that's important. That's a good one.
so you were you buying them, or were you a library kid?
No, I
'Cause
was-
I was a library kid big time.
I got a weekly allowance, and it was $5, and so once a week I would have enough to get an Animorphs book, and that would be, my weekly allowance. But like, my parents were really good in getting us to the bookstore where we could get the books that I tried to acquire the books indeed. I actually remember trying to get the rest of my family into it, and the book that I was like, yeah, this is a good one to like share. It was book 12. So
Oh, really?
yeah, like I was like, Dad, you got to read these aloud. It's so good. And like,
That's so good.
like I picked it out, so he read it, but like they hadn't read any of the other books beforehand, and I was just like,
Oh,
guys,
man.
they explain
That's
it. They
that's
explain it.
so
Don't worry.
It's like,
They
don't
give
worry,
you
Dad.
context
12-year-old
at the
girl
beginning
is
of
reading
each
this
book.
Like a picture while a crocodile
man.
morphs
And there's-
out of
Yeah,
her.
she
There's
turns
a
into a
bunch of-
crocodile, and it's not good, and then a crocodile comes out of her back. What?
What? Watch out.
Brayden, why don't you quickly go
Yeah,
over the plot of this book.
So this one is actually pretty straightforward. We'll see if we can keep it that way. So in this book,
we'll see how good a job Braden does at accurately portraying poor old Tobias's plight.
listen, you son of a bitch.
Hey now.
All right. Well, we start off with Tobias, our resident emo hawk boy of the Animorphs, just goofing about. He finds out that Rachel won a prize, and there's going to be a little soiree that he can't be invited to because he's a bird, unfortunately. But he decides to console himself by going on a double bird date with Rachel, flying her around, showing her Yerk pool entry sites that he's found. But he keeps on finding himself accidentally video game fast traveling to this spot of meadow out around the edge of town. Whenever he tries to go anywhere else, this is where he ends up instead. And he notices the last time they do this, a tree moves and there's a hole underneath the tree, and 2 Hork-Bajir run out, but they seem like scared and they don't have like Dracon beams or anything like that that marks them as Yerks. And then a bunch of human controllers with guns chase after them, and Rachel and Tobias realize these Hork-Bajir aren't Yerked. Holy yowzers, we gotta save the day here. So there's a little bit of a cool little action scene. Tobias and Rachel as birds fuck up some gormy looking human controllers with shotguns. Cars crash into the Hork-Bajir. It's a real mess, Ma. It's a real mess. Holy.
I hear Tessa yawning already in the background. She's
I'm
getting
just
ready.
like-
She's settling in for the long haul.
Yeah.
A peek behind the curtain here. I wrote the summary in our show notes in 8 lines.
It's so short. I was so
Let's
pleased.
see how long it takes Braden to summarize
I
those
looked
8
at it
lines.
and I
As
said to
well.
Braden, "Look how short this summary is."
I mean, it's that's the thing with Tobias
Yeah.
books. They're almost always just Tobias, just kind of going around doing stuff, and like stuff keeps happening. But it's like the other Animorphs are like, "No, man, I'm having a grounded story at school as a B plot." But for Tobias, his B stories are always like, "Oh my God, there's like 30 raccoons here. What are we gonna do?" Or like something
there's
weird.
I'm so excited to talk
and
about
now there's
raccoons.
Oh
two
God. that was-
Spoiler
roaring
alert,
packs
raccoons,
of
I'm sorry.
wolves.
So, okay, as we keep going, they introduce they hide the one Hork-Bajir, and
Because one of them does not escape. This is important.
one of them gets hit by a truck and flies off into a ditch, and the Hork-Bajir gets split up. Tobias hides the one he stays with in a cave, and later he brings the whole team to go visit him. This Hork-Bajir, and this Hork-Bajir introduces itself as Jarahami. They call
It's
it
so good.
Jeremy once, and then don't do it again, and that is
No.
such a waste. Such a waste, K.A. I expected
Yeah,
more
that's-
from
No,
you.
I feel like it would have gone the way of like the Prince jokes if they kept calling him Jeremy, whereas Jarahami is like it means something else.
Yeah.
And it also
okay,
it's
that's
also
fair.
like a bookmark for like, here's how you pronounce that name, Jerahami, like Jeremy.
Yeah, exactly. Hold your
Not
hand.
Hermione,
Without, like-
Hermione.
Hermione,
Yeah. Oh, that was so
Hermione.
helpful.
Yeah,
I
very
didn't even think of
helpful.
that. Yeah.
Anyway, they go to this Hork-Bajir, and there's a second of suspicion when it turns out Hork-Bajir apparently don't appreciate Andalites at all. Jara Ami is like tries to slash at axe, like tries to fight him, and it's like, holy, maybe there's it's more of that
There
like,
must be a story there.
yeah, there's more of that the galaxy doesn't appreciate the Andalites.
It's
even more
probably
than,
just that he was under capture of a Yerk, and the only Andalite he knew was fucking Visser 3.
Okay,
would
that's
kill
fair
all of
too.
his
But like,
lackeys.
Jarahami does appear to have some like greater notion of there being a larger Andalite presence that just like failed the Hork-Bajir. Getting back to that idea that, even though, like, Axe and a lot of the other, Andalites are kind of describing themselves as like, yeah, we try our best, but we like, we just mess up sometimes. But like, every other species so far has kind of been like, even the Elemist has kind of like low-key called the Andalites assholes.
Which is rich coming from the Elemist.
Yeah, anyway, it's at this point they're like, Jara, how do we know that you are not a Yeerk? So he, God, oh God, this is so fucked.
This is the coolest thing, and it
this
means
is the
that.
best.
Yeah,
I needed a ginger ale after this. I literally got queasy. Jara slices open his own head and like pries it open and shows them his brain and is like,
"Oh yeah,
is this a Yeerked brain? Does this got Yeerk
It's so
on
intense.
it?" And it's like,
also, would you
then
be
it
able to
heals
tell?
fast.
I think
know.
Axe would be able to.
Yeah, I think
Probably,
because like
that's
That's
true, yeah.
maybe, yeah.
Because, like, they coat the brain. They, like, turn into... They just, like,
turn flat.
spread themselves out and, like, coat the brain is the idea, right?
In
I
Andalite
thought they
High
sunk
School,
into the.
they do sink into it, but first they spread out like saran wrap and then sink into the I feel like in
I always
Andalite High
pictured
School,
it like silly putty, or like green silly putty, I guess. Like just
Yeah.
around a brain.
Oh, gross.
but they probably had
That's awful.
pictures, right? They probably had posters in Andalite High School. This is your Hork-Bajir brain. This is your Hork-Bajir brain on Yeerk.
Ha.
That's why I'm the funny one of the podcast.
Yeah, let's keep telling yourself that.
So it becomes...
I love all of you. Okay.
Yeah, so they've proven that Jarahami is not a controller at this point. So they make up a little plot to get him out of there. And on their way there, Tobias has another a vision of a beautiful meadow up in the mountains. But he knows it's not somewhere he's actually been or seen before. But he doesn't tell the others this. He just tells them, he's like, yeah, I've noticed it on my flight. And he's like, this is where he starts to put together, something or someone is messing with my head. And they're like, who could it possibly be? And this is when it cuts to, like, the narrator. If this was a movie that I was narrating, it would be like me, like, I don't know why they didn't think it was the Elemist. I don't know why they didn't think of the Elemist. Like, we haven't
Did
seen
you
him
think
in a
of the
while.
Elemist?
I did.
Brayden?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay,
there's only so many like cosmic forces in to just like introduce another one. That would be something.
Who knows,
Schmellemist.
Moths? What if they do? It's like, hey, Schmellemist. Oh, second, really. All we know about is the Elemist. So there'd be like
Well,
a
what did we
second
decide
cosmic
that-
force.
The Elemist, his name is Adam the Elemist? Maybe it was, like,
Badum.
Joey the Elemist.
Oh, there's
Was
just
this
a
other
second
Elemist?
Elemist?
There's actually
We
a
don't know.
team of Elemists, and they're all just too awkward to say, like, oh my god, he doesn't realize I'm not the same Elemist.
Oh,
Yeah. It's, like, pretty racist,
Yeah.
actually, to, like, not be able to recognize.
Well, I mean, he's like a 5-dimensional monster thing, so like, I think that's fair. He probably just has like an elbow that looks like an old man.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Oh, Jiminy. Yeah, so Tobias gets, after realizing he has had this vision, and starting to travel to this place, he gets speed warped again, by unknown means to the other Hork-Bajir, who's being surrounded by some controllers, some human controllers.
and one thing we know about this other Hork-Bajir is that she is Jerahami's Kalashi.
Wife.
She is his wife.
I think it's pronounced waifu.
My wife.
Ah, yes, sorry.
Michael
Of course.
Ashley.
That's how I'm gonna refer to all of like my boyfriend now is Michael Ashley.
Gross.
Does it work for boys also?
I mean, we don't know. We would
don't
have to
know
ask
yet.
the Hork-Bajir.
Maybe it's Kalasho.
Oh,
Alright.
Although that's only for Hork-Bajir to know.
this is true.
That's a shout out to a later joke that I'm
Shout out?
going to enjoy
Oh,
very much.
you have a later joke already planned out.
Oh no, it's Jerahami's like pretty awesome joke near the end about their
It's
body
not
parts.
Jerahamis, it's Kehalpax. But yes, it's
Sorry.
pretty good.
All right, so
They all look
Tobias
the same to me.
saves saves the lady, or the other one, Ket
wife?
Halpak, the wife, Ket Halpak, from the controllers, and one of them turns out to be Visor 3, but that's like rather inconsequential by the end of things, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It just like makes it so that, oh no, he has 360-degree vision. I have to make a distraction instead of making it a straight up fight. And he pulls a little interesting trick where he like baits out another hawk to like get territorial so that the Visor is paying attention to that.
Yeah, so for all we know of this book is that Tobias is fucking ruthless, who will kill nature to save his friends.
Yeah.
So this is why
to save Hork-Bajir.
This is why he and Cassie have like animosity towards each other.
It's at this point.
Animorphity.
I didn't really notice an animosity between Cassie and Tobias.
No, there wasn't. I was making a bad joke.
I think it's just because, like, Tobias has said multiple times, like, I don't hunt near Cassie's barn, and Cassie's like, don't hunt near my barn.
I mean, they had that big conversation in book 9 where Cassie was like, well, I don't know what morals are anymore. I'm really confused and life is fucked up. And then she and Tobias had a good talk about it. But like, no,
That's true.
No, they're cool. They're bros.
Yeah. And Tobias is like, yep, I eat babies, bro. Gotta get over it.
Hey, that's not
That is
that's
also
not
true.
till book 13, so calm down.
Okay.
I mean, 23.
Oh, spoilers. Oh, spoilers.
Oh, man, spoilers. In book 23, Tobias eats, like, 15 human babies all in a row.
I mean, but like,
One of these babies is a
after
controller.
what just happened, can we blame him? Like,
Oh, man. One of these babies is a controller. I can't leave any of them alive, just in case.
But he still eats the whole thing. Each time.
Oh, yeah.
Waste not, want not.
What if it's hiding in the leg?
Oh, yeah.
You don't know.
We don't know everything there is to know about Yerks.
Alright. So they start, after they get the last Hork-Bajir out of there, they start traveling to this mountain pass. But they find out that they are being tracked by, like, essentially Taxon hunting dogs. And they realize that the controllers, the Yerks, are incredibly desperate to get these Hork-Bajir back. So they start booking it. But Tobias has this moment where he's like, wait a minute. I've been getting visions. Jara clarifies that he's been getting visions as well.
Not visions. He heard a voice in his head.
It's same deal.
Nope. One is sight, one is hearing. Different senses, different deal.
God, you're so useful on this podcast.
I know.
Alright.
Anyway, flashback. Tobias is stuck.
Tobias is in the
mind
middle of this like
palace.
weird turquoise mind palace when he sees like weird rainbow bird coming at him, and it's like, hello, I'm the Elemis. Sorry about all the fucking around, but you know, that's sort of my thing. And he's like, why are you fucking with me, Elemis? I want something in return. And the Elemis is like, let me guess, you want to be human again? And Tobias is like, yeah, I'd love to be human again. And the Elemis is like, yeah, let's say that's a deal.
He never
No.
says that
The
explicitly.
Elemis says, I will give you what you truly desire. And Tobias thinks in his heart, I'll be human again?
Yeah.
I won't have to live as a hawk? I don't know if they ever actually have a conversation about
No,
being human.
they
It's
don't,
just in
but
Tobias's head.
It's still a dick move to have implied it.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
a genie.
I'm
Genie in
not
a
saying
bottle
that
move.
the Elemis is a good guy by any means.
No.
But yeah, so this is the deal. Tobias
Yeah.
is like, oh, you'll grant me my deepest wish
Yeah.
if I do this for you.
They have at this
Sure.
point, they have a couple more shenanigans where, like, they meet up again. Yeah, a few more
a great-
shenanigans.
great
They
quote.
escape more Hork-Bajir, controllers, more Taxons. They dodge more human controllers. Eventually we come to a point, where Tobias is scouting ahead for food, realizes there's a helicopter coming and tries to beat it there, but is swept up by the helicopter's wind and is buffeted into the ground and breaks one of his wings. And
This is the best part of the whole book.
we have seen some horrifying shit so far, guys. Like Marco and the crew being torn apart as ants. We've seen again most of the most horrific shit in this book involves ants. Rachel being eaten alive by ants as Jake
pulls apart her
tries
bloody
to
furred
pull apart
flesh.
her body to save her. I think this is probably the worst part, where Tobias is being dragged away by a raccoon still alive and realizes, Jesus H, this motherfucking little psychopath is going to literally tear me apart with his bare hands to find the juiciest parts of me while I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Totally. It's so good.
Yeah, and
It's so good. It's so good.
and while he's
Despite
screaming,
its potential
Nightmare
inaccuracies,
fuel.
as we'll find out next week.
Oh, way to
Way to
had
just
to spoil it
take
now.
all the tension out of that scene, Mikael.
No, man. Raccoons are so cool that it doesn't even matter. Like, forget
Yeah,
it.
no.
Yeah, not to birds. That's true.
Yeah. Raccoons are dicks to birds.
Anyway,
All right.
Tobias is about to be eaten by a raccoon.
When the Elemist comes in his head and is like, okay, you want our deal to activate now? And Tobias is like, yes, sir. And the Elemist is like,
all right, it's been done.
You now have what you want.
yeah.
He's like,
And he
what?
has-
I'm still a bird? No, he's
and
got more
Tobias
powers.
realizes he has the morph powers again, but his base form is the bird. Which is like,
Wah, wah.
wah,
Yeah.
wah.
That's
So he
not too
morphs-
much of a want.
Well, 'cause
Instead-
he has a reflective moment later where he's like, wait a minute. It actually would really suck to turn back into a boy because my life sucked
And then he wouldn't.
hard.
And meets up with the gang again and realizes they're firing Dracon beams, the Yerks, I mean, are firing Dracon beams from the helicopters into the forest, attempting to like smoke them out. But he realizes, there's a ravine down there. They're trying to like chase him in a circle. I think I have a plan to use this. And he goes and meets up with the gang again and explains, hey guys, I can morph now, but I'm still a hawk, so...
And Rachel is like, all right, I'm gonna turn into a bear and punch fucking God in the face for you.
And Tobias is like, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Blondie. We need to get out of here first.
And he shares his super cool plan.
Yeah, which is not explained right
Not
now.
explained right now, because they acted
But-
out.
It's good, though.
It's
good,
so
though.
good. It's
Him
so good.
and Rachel turn into the Hork-Bajir, and they get the Hork-Bajir to go away and hide in the bottom of the ravine. And then Tobias and Rachel, as these Hork-Bajir, rush to the ravine, being chased by Taxons and Hork-Bajir and human controllers.
And Visser 3
himself. And they're like, they have to fight their way through some Taxons, and it's fucking crazy, like, sort of getting that first-hand perspective on how and what a Hork-Bajir can do exactly. And although I would like to take a sidebar here to mention something I forgot to mention earlier.
Oh my god.
This is where we specify, this book, Hork-Bajir are plant eaters entirely. Their blades are just for cutting off pieces of bark that they then just chew on to get all the sap out.
Did we
It's an
not know
interesting
that
bit.
yet?
No, we didn't know
Until
this.
this book?
This was
Okay,
the
okay,
book,
I
because
wasn't sure.
before they looked really dangerous and covered in knives, so everyone thought that they were, they're obviously some kind of predator. Nope, they're just like graceful giraffes covered in blades.
It's pretty cool.
That's the
I think-
nicest way to describe them. That's so sweet.
Yeah, so they make it to the edge of this ravine, and there's this honestly really poorly delivered on moment with Visser 3, where he's like at the edge of the cliff, and he's like, haha, you can't get past me, because I'm gonna slice your fucking throat. But they just keep running, and it just describes a long sequence of them running at him, like they're gonna have a fight, but then they say, and then Visser 3 realized that if I ran into him, even if he killed me, my momentum would just throw him off the cliff, and he stepped aside.
Which is like not
such blue balls.
True. Not true though.
Well, I
Because
think
if he can, if he can step aside and like he's got like lightning quick tail blade, easily kill
he
both of them,
definitely
and they
could've
still
killed
go
them.
over the edge.
What I think happened though was that just Visser 3 chickened out and was just like, Or what really happened was the authors were like, I don't want to kill Tobias right after I give him morphing powers. That's too sad.
Yeah, so they get to the edge of the cliff and they yell, "Free or death."
Which
Free
is
or
something
dead.
that they came up with earlier
Yeah.
when talking. Yeah,
And
blah, blah, blah. It's a
fucking,
callback.
it's a pump up.
Pretty good.
It's pretty dope. I can't wait for them to say it more in later books till I get tired of it.
But anyway, they hold hands,
And
they jump off the
go
cliff.
over the cliff, and Marco, as a gorilla, leans out and pulls them into a cliff face. And then all of the Yeerks look over, see the original, the real Hork-Bajir lying down, and
At the bottom of
Cassie
the ravine.
and Jake are like, "Arr, rah, rah, rah,"
As
as
wolves.
wolves, yanking them apart. Because Hork-Bajir have such a high healing factor, it doesn't matter how much they rip them up.
Well, they're not ripping them up that
Oh,
much.
good.
From
Yeah.
what I always picture was just two wolves kind of just like basically chewing on a bit of beef jerky and not
Yeah.
really ripping into them too much. But then, Brister 3 is just like, oh,
Ha-ha.
look at those. Those wolves are having the best meal of their lives. Ha ha.
This
Thank
is your
goodness
grave
they're
now,
dead.
Hork-Bajir. Thank goodness you're dead.
And
Let's
then
not
Tobias
get
leads
the
them to the
bodies.
secret valley.
Yeah. And then they take him to the secret valley,
Oh, wait.
and they drop him off, and there's a funny bit. Mikael, you seemed excited about this one. Would you like to take this?
No. We haven't done the last bit of the Elemist's gift to Tobias.
Well, no, but this comes before. I'm just
right.
asking
Yeah, it does.
Mikael
Right, it
if
does
he'd
come
like to
before.
talk about
it's
this.
so
bit.
they're like, oh, it's my Kalashi. Like, we're gonna go to that meadow that Tobias is taking us to, and like we're gonna have kids, basically.
Yeah.
And then who is it? Is this Marco? That's like, what is the difference between a male and a female? And I think it's the woman, Ket Halpak. She's like, Ket have 2 horn, Chara have 3 horn, and one other difference. Only for Hork-Bajir to know.
Marco was like, that's it? Or somebody was like, that's it? That's the only difference? And then Ket Halpak was, there's more differences. Only Hork-Bajir to know. Yeah, it's so good. It's just, yeah, it's very good.
It's amazing.
Anyway,
let's take this shit
We're
home.
Almost 2 final scenes.
All right. So, as Tobias has a bit of an emo moment where he refuses to speak to Rachel. She comes to his meadow, but he just hides out from her because he just feels sad and angry at the Elemist.
Well, and used, too.
Yeah. And then Axe comes by the meadow, and they have a bit of a tail blade moment, a tail bros moment. And eventually Tobias just tries to go to sleep, but then he wakes up somewhere that isn't the meadow. And he realizes that it's a room.
It's a bedroom.
It's a human's bedroom.
And it looks
it looks familiar. And there's a calendar on the wall. It's a Star Trek calendar. And it's the day they met
day
Alfangor.
before.
They met Alfangor. And a sandy-haired boy kicks up out of bed and says, Jesus H. Christ, what the cunting fuck is a giant
God.
bird doing in my cunt fucking room?
Not in front of the guests.
I'm paraphrasing.
I think that's actually word for word. I have it right here, yeah.
That was the first draft. Yeah, you had one of the few first drafts that leaked through into the Scholastic Book Fair.
Yeah, and
that's
then-
why parents were so against these books, was because of the out of nowhere. Yeah,
Our character, Tobias, our Tobias in bird form realizes who this is, and Thought speaks to him. Watch your fucking tongue, mate, or I'll fucking claw your eyes out and we'll see you shits on the sidewalk first.
And he also says, "Don't worry, Tobias. This is all a dream."
Yeah.
Because it's his past self.
Yes,
Woo!
yes, it
if
is.
that wasn't obvious before.
I did yeah. And he realizes, oh, I can go over there and touch myself to morph into. And Tobias and Hawk Tobias makes sure to tell Boy Bias, hey, Tobias? Boy Bias, hey, walk home with Jake tomorrow. Go through the construction site. You're gonna have a great time.
He's like, Boy Bias is like, wait, what? And Bird Bias laughs to himself, and I'm just picturing, fuck, this is so, like, dark and sad. You're setting yourself up to be turned into a bird forever.
Yeah,
It's
fuck,
his true
right?
self, man.
Also, Also, he didn't remember doing like that happening. He didn't remember oh gosh, a bird told me to walk with you, Jake.
Maybe
he didn't
this
mention
is the
that.
first loop.
Do you think that would that would probably stop me from walking through a dangerous construction site? If a bird came into my room and said, "You're dreaming. Also, make sure that you walk through a specific construction site with the guy who saved you from a bully once, and now is your best friend forever."
Tobias is just one of those sleepers that if he's woken up mid-sleep, he doesn't remember. Like, Brayden and I have a roommate who, I've woken her up sometimes and, have had full-on conversations, and then she goes back to sleep, and when confronted later, has no recollection of that whole conversation.
That's 80% of me and my fiance's conversations.
That's because you gotta stop talking to her when she's sleeping.
It's so cute, though. She says the weirdest shit. Because she's like, this one time, I came to bed.
We're almost on the book.
Okay. Tobias touches himself. And then can morph into boy him.
Then he goes and surprises Rachel. Hey, Rachel, congratulations on being a Packard Student Award.
Where did he get those clothes? Okay, what did he do?
Did he definitely
did he go? Did he fly in as a bird?
He morphed a raccoon.
No. Okay, moths.
That's actually probably it.
That's very probably accurate.
No. Brayden, don't. This is just for moths.
Those clothes probably smell like trash.
Maybe Mikael. This is just for moths. What he did was picked up a rock and broke the window. Because, birds can't steal clothes.
Oh, that's true. Birds are subject to no human law.
Yeah, so much. They keep on coming up. Like, anytime they're indoors or in, like, a small enough cave or, like, they think they're being chased, like, Tobias is pretty much out of the action. And it's good to know that in the future, that's going to be off the plate. Like, he's part of the team again.
But the thing is, like, there's one point where he's like, no, I'll morph the Hork-Bajir. Jake, you do my job that I'm really good at that you're not good at, but I'll do the Hork-Bajir thing. Right. And it's like, Tobias, I know you want to be part of the team. People's lives are at risk. Well, you can do a goof later where they go to a concert as dogs or something.
I wonder if the Elemist picked that time and that location to have Tobias, like, change into a Hork-Bajir at that time for a reason. I don't know, just kind of a thought, but like maybe because Tobias is so used to going around in the air and like climbing on trees with his claw talons, maybe he's reasonably suited for being a Hork-Bajir or something.
He does,
and Marco does say, like, you have bird feet. Yeah, isn't that funny?
He has the same feet when he morphs.
Some really great Marco lines this time around.
Oh, Marco's
really
just
great Marco moments.
Funniest.
If you didn't know this already, Moths, we are basically the Marco fan club.
Yeah,
I mean,
I did notice that.
I am.
I mean, it's pretty much just Mikael, but like, I mean, I love all of the characters. I can't say there's one
everyone
that I don't
must have
like.
the same opinion as me.
Yeah. And also, Marco is he's so funny. He's so funny. He has such good jokes. And I really relate to that because I'm hilarious, so.
Yeah, that's why Tessa relates
I'd just
to
like
that.
to point out something quick. In the beginning of this book, Marco makes a comment like, how do you know a Hork-Bajir's a girl? It talks too much about shopping and is weird around snakes and bugs? And then Cassie's like, what do you mean weird around snakes? Weird like this? And then it mentions she reaches into a drawer and then throws a snake at Marco. And I'm like, wait a minute, a drawer?
Oh yeah, that's intense.
A drawer? Like
your snake drawer.
Just some drawer?
Just some drawer.
And Cassie knew.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
What?
No, it's totally a real thing. I will call Adam right fucking now.
You can keep
veterinary clinics?
There are some snakes that are totally fine, and plus you can't keep a snake in a cage.
You know what? What's more disturbing about that than a snake in a drawer? Rachel throwing a snake at somebody. That's pretty messed up.
The horror.
Like she didn't even like check to be like, what kind of snake is that?
Also, Cassie shouldn't be throwing animals.
Yeah, she didn't.
That's completely out of character.
Cassie, so I can. She probably just did one of those little, the snake is fine, and then Marco freaks out. That's the real joke. Is that Marco freaks out about it?
That was pretty good. I can just see Cassie I gotta stand in front of this shelf at all times,
Just in
case Marco
I need to
makes
throw,
a quip about
just
snakes.
in case I need to throw a snake at a bitch. Just in case, I will throw a snake at a bitch.
Do you think this actually brings up an interesting point? Do you think this book is kind of like the sort of classic boy becoming a man sort of story?
Interesting.
Is that because I mean, like you said, it starts out with Marco making that really tasteless joke, but by the end we see a strong, committed relationship between the two Hork-Bajir, and then Tobias and Rachel both turn into those very same Hork-Bajir and work together as a team and do something really strong and powerful. So, like, maybe that's kind of like the subtext of the book. I just thought of that.
So, side note, you don't even know how excited I am to hear some, like, real literary analysis on this podcast.
Ouch.
For, like, the first time
Oh my god.
ever.
Okay, if we spent less time on the recap, maybe we could get into it.
Motherfucker, I have been digging and digging into this work and comparing it to I have been digging themes out of Lovecraft,
No.
and I have no mouth, but I must
Not
scream
of
since the
I'm
beginning.
just a box full of moths so they can touch every surface in a room so I can see the whole location.
Moths can read the whole book at a glance with one moth on each page. It's easy.
I'm just... I don't...
I said 100 I said 100 moths. There's 109 pages in that.
Okay, almost
I'm just
every
like...
page.
Mikael, how fucking dare you insinuate I haven't been coming at this with a critical, like,
in the
academic
in
eye?
the reaction episode, I tried to like present a genuine like interpretive theory of what was going on, and you're like, "Nah, you stupid,"
That is
You
not what I
stupid.
said
and I was like,
at all.
Fuck.
How dare you? What?
I mean, Mikael,
didn't
I think
ring with
Brain
it.
was just saying that anyway, and you just happened to be talking about a theory.
But to Moth's point, and I think that is a very good point, and it ties in a
Yeah,
lot with
yeah.
what I'm seeing in the fandom in general, which is like a lot of people, I don't want to say claimed, because I don't think that's like the right word, but like have interpreted Tobias's character as transgendered in the sense that he's really not comfortable in his own skin.
I
Right?
mean,
Like
the word for that is dysmorphia. I mean,
it's not. I looked it up.
dysphoria.
Dysphoria, that's it. Yeah,
body
yeah.
dysphoria.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's like-
Gender dysphoria.
It's basically
like
Body
Species
dysphoria
dysphoria?
generally. Yeah.
So it's dysmorphia is when you like have a really, really like unrealistically big problem with some aspect of your body.
Yeah.
Whereas gender dysphoria is when you actually think you're the wrong gender or believe
it's the
or
name
whatever
of
the case
it's
is.
the name of an Against Me album.
dysphoria.
Cool.
Dysphoria Blues.
Yes.
Anyways, but you can see the metaphor there, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like-
that's why a lot of transgender people who will relate to Tobias's struggle, because like you said, like raging against the Ellimist is just like raging against God
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a sense.
It's not
Yeah,
exactly
totally.
a 1-to-1 ratio here, but it's certainly a 1A to 1B.
It's like
Yeah.
how some people will relate to Luke because they're gay, and they'll be like, "Oh, Luke the Jedi, he's also gay." And then
But
Mark
is he?
Hamill comes out. Well, Mark Hamill came out and said, "Yeah, he's certainly gay. If that's how you think he is, then yes."
Oh.
Which is
If
great.
that's how you
It's-
think he
it's
is,
in,
or he's saying it's canon.
Hold on.
No, he's
when
not.
Well,
does
because
when
George
does Luke
Lucas is
meet
like-
any other female or character besides
He's
Leia?
asexual. He's asexual, man.
Well,
I don't think it's
they're
not
actually
canon.
all bugs.
It's just how I think they're not actually human because it's a galaxy far, far away. So yeah,
That's
we
true.
don't
I
know
think
how
they're-
that they
I
reproduce.
So there's this fan theory that actually all the Star Wars characters, except like all the humans in the Star Wars canon, are supposed to be actually like humanoid bug folk, because like their females are so rare, and they're all in positions of power when they are in the universe, like a queen in like an ant colony, and like they have such a, and all the humans have a very like centralized government and a very centralized view of like living space, like the Death Star. It makes no sense to give all that power to one location unless your instincts tell you live in one location, give power to one but this is just some crazy ass fan theory.
I mean, I'm up with it, except that there should be more females because like an ant colony is all ladies.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
We
but
learned
only
that
one
earlier.
or two queens.
Oh, yeah, but they're all
I would
ladies
like to
all the
point
way.
out that there are mammals which have that same hive structure, the naked mole rat.
Oh,
What? Really?
Yeah, they have a queen, and then they have like a bunch of females without like a lot of without the ability to reproduce, and then like a bunch of drone males. And they live under the desert, and they're basically ants that are weird,
Whoa.
but mammals.
That gives me the heebie-jeebies.
super cool.
Oh man, Moths, did you hear my theory about how to be immortal as an Animorph?
Well, is it connect yourself to a larger overmind, like a giant eye on a torso, and then gain the morphing ability, and then proliferate through the galaxy as a single mind in an infinite body?
No, it's much
Something
worse
like
than that.
Oh,
it's
okay.
a way worse theory than
Yeah.
that. Okay,
It's super uncomfortable.
When you get old, so you're in your 80s or 90s, presumably your morphing powers like still work, even if they're way harder
of
on your
course.
body.
Yeah, that would suck if it just wore off after a year and like.
Yeah, you don't use it often enough. You don't update the technology, so it like wears out. Oh, fuck.
Okay, so
you try
you're
and morph,
80.
and it just does the Windows sound.
And you're on your deathbed, right? And your family's visiting you.
Yeah.
And you put your grandson is like, oh, Pappy.
And then you kill your grandson, right?
No,
Does this end with
that's
you
the best
killing
part. No one has to die other
Okay.
than you.
Right.
You morph your grandson in private.
That's
You have
not
all the
that's not a good
knowledge.
touch.
That's not a good thing to say.
You said, young Timmy, you 9-year-old, come here. Everybody else leave.
You don't have to morph him in front of him.
Timmy.
You just...
No, but you have to acquire him.
That's fine. That's easy to do. And Timmy's just like, oh, when you touch him.
Oh, that's so uncomfortable.
And then in the bathroom at night, you morph your grandson. You have the knowledge of an 81-year-old person who, like,
So
knows,
you're
like, badass shit.
and
And then you live your entire life all over again.
Where do you get your IDs?
Oh, you
Also,
live
you
off
don't
the
know
grid.
how to use a smartphone? Oh, you're a 9-year-old living off the grid.
Yeah.
No, but
that's
you have
gonna
the
work.
knowledge. You have the knowledge of an 80-year-old.
Yeah, an
Yeah, so you're
80-year-old
like
who-
Golem
yeah.
at that point.
Mikael,
I'd take that over
you're
death.
an 80-year-old who doesn't know how to use any of the technology around you so far. Like, if you're 80 years old right now, just be confused
By gum, you're
about
great at
Facebook.
fishing.
Okay, Tessa, why do you automatically assume I would be an idiot at 80 years old?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know how it would affect somebody who had like Alzheimer's or something. That would actually be the worst.
Oh,
You're
God.
a 9-year-old with Alzheimer's.
Also, do you think that Tobias pulls on the Hawk DNA that how does that work? Like, if every time he morphs back into the Hawk, does he morph back into the Hawk that he acquired? In which case,
No.
is he constantly resetting his age?
I don't. Ever since he got trapped as a hawk, that's been his body, and now that
Okay,
hawk has.
so does
kept
that mean when
aging.
Rachel's 99 years old, he's going to be like, oh, I'll come to you as a human, 12-year-old?
I don't know. We don't know if morphs age in the inside of Z space.
I mean,
I don't think they age inside of Z space.
But they can't because if
that would
they
actually
just-
be a kind of interesting thing. Like,
Like, as you age, your dog morph will age, and you have to
well,
reacquire a new
no,
dog.
think about
Weird.
like an ant or like a fly. You know,
Yeah,
they
they
have
would
to they have
die.
to be like constantly resupplying their fly morphs.
Okay, we should probably wrap it up. We're going long.
All right.
Next week, in our bi-weekly episode of Live from the Gardens, we'll be talking about the raccoon and the Hork-Bajir, the two morphs from this book, Animorphs number 13, The Change. And the week after that, we'll actually be talking about the Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
It's gonna be our first Chronicles
Really?
book.
Yeah, it's our first Chronicles book. Moths, where can we find you online?
Well, you can check my Twitter or my Instagram, which are both Archivist, which is ARCHAEVIST, because it's like archaeology. Get it, man? And like, I don't know. I was
I get it now.
Now I get it. I actually didn't get it.
Oh,
Until next week, my name is Mikael, the host.
I've been Tessa the expert.
I'm Braden, the word for... You know what? I'm the Yerk word for baby today.
and I'm Moths, the moths in the boxes.
That's right, and this has been Animorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. If you're looking for more Animorphs content, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for Animorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Hello everyone, my name is Jared, and this is Two Nerds in a Basement. Once a week, me and another nerd watch one of the over 70 movies put out by Marvel or DC Comics over the last 50 years, and talk about them for far too long.
Can we just take a moment to address the fact that Howard the Duck looks like Martin Sheen?
You just want a Jimmy Olsen torture scene, right?
Something. Don't just shoot him in the head. Like, string him up by his toenails and just go to town on him.
He's just got this scratchy voice. It's so annoying.
What's our solution to nuclear warfare? 10-year-olds?
It's like, I want to be a witch. I want to explore the black magics, and you get the aesthetic of your dreams, right?
I went straight to the boob grabbing. Hang on. Let me get there.
Brought to you by
Collective Legacy,
a podcast network.